Serbia's Prime Minister has said that his country has not frozen its involvement in the South Stream pipeline. That's despite earlier reports. It's a massive project to provide a new route for Russian natural gas supplies to Europe. Let's try and clear this situation up by speaking to RT's Irina Galushko. So, Irina, tell us how the future of the South Stream project, it's sounding a little bit confused. How's it looking at the moment?
At the moment, it's looking kind of shaky, I would say, because, again, we're having this information from the Serbian Prime Minister almost immediately after there was another statement from the Deputy Prime Minister who said that, indeed, Serbia will also have to freeze any operations on the South Stream pipeline. But in order to understand all of this, we need to have a look at this map. We already know that Bulgaria said no, that it's going to hold any proceedings when it comes to South Stream. They are citing some proceedings by the EU officials which need to take place. But curiously enough, that statement came really soon after a meeting with 3 U.S. senators, among whom was John McCain, who cannot be blamed for liking Russia too much, quite on the contrary. So Bulgaria seems to be pulling out. Serbia, however, is still kind of in the middle. Obviously, Bulgaria is a key moment in this entire affair, but Serbia has a lot to lose and a lot to win from the South Stream pipeline project, because for Serbia, it means jobs, it means investments. Basically, the country's financial well-being very much depends on the project. And of course, there are also other players involved in the project. We haven't heard from Austria yet. There's also Slovakia. So cannot really put our foot down and say immediately that because Bulgaria is done, South Stream is also going to be halted. Curiously enough, John McCain has said that the main prerequisite for the South Stream pipeline project to go ahead is for Russia's involvement to be minimal. And of course, the project is being headmasted by none other than Gazprom, Russia's gas giant. So a lot of critics are already saying that by pulling out, or at least halting for now, South Stream, Bulgaria is shooting itself in the foot and really is not doing any favors to its European counterparts.
OK, RT's Irina Galushko, thank you to you. Now, to talk more about why the South Stream project is meeting resistance in Europe, let's bring in global financial markets expert Patrick Young. Patrick, thanks so much. It looks like there's plenty of disagreement, even within just the Serbian government. We're getting conflicting statements. How can we explain that, do you think?
I think one of the things we have to bear in mind here is that obviously when you're looking at a large infrastructure project, the conflict may not actually be graphically more than simply project management. I mean, the Deputy Prime Minister, obviously when he spoke in Serbian this morning, what he may have said was, of course, there's going to be a problem with the actual delivery of the pipeline in terms of, is there a point to Serbia delivering the infrastructure across the land to the border with Bulgaria? And therefore the Prime Minister has come in quite rapidly and said, no, the project goes on. We're going to continue building. We want that several $billion of investment in Serbia. We need the jobs. We want to be effectively connected as a gas pipeline to the rest of Europe, in the same way that Tito's strategy for the former Yugoslavia was to make the Yugoslavs a central focal point for the whole of European transit, and hence why they had better roadways and motorways than any other part of, say, the Soviet bloc.
Now, Serbia is involved in the construction of the South Stream pipeline, like anyone else, because there's something in it for them. So if they are actually forced to halt construction, how much do you think they're going to lose out?
I think it's going to be a very significant problem for Serbia, but actually I think the problem here is going to be not so much just the loss of jobs and the overall motivation of the Serbian people. It's going to be seen as another disappointment with the European project. Let's face it, I mean, NATO was the organisation that was built for defence and ultimately went on the offensive and bombed the Serbs in their homes only 20 years ago. We've seen a situation where there's a very uneasy relationship between East and West within Serbia, simply because of the way that it's been treated by the EU. Now that we've got this manipulation by John McCain and various senators, and also President Barroso, who of course is looking towards his retirement and therefore presumably a cushy position with an American bank, we're in a situation where we can't really see a lot of trust being built as Serbia tries to negotiate its way into the European Union. And indeed, therefore, it may be that Serbia ultimately decides, as part of that collateral damage, that perhaps it ought to be pivoting to the east, just as Russia has done recently with the Power of Siberia pipeline, and so forth.
Now, I find this development particularly interesting because Brussels says it needs to look into possible violations of EU competition rules before it can give the project the green light. I mean, it was 7 years ago that the South Stream was launched. What's taken Brussels so long to suddenly develop an interest?
This is another deranged power grab, land grab by Brussels, attempting to dictate its own rules outside of the European Union bloc. And essentially we have a farcical situation here where the EU is trying to effectively say that it has the opportunity to decide who owns a pipeline that operates outside of the European Union. That is farcical. It's a ridiculous tenet upon which to apply your rules. But let's face it, the European Union are just trying to take something from the US playbook. And as we know, even today, the US government is even trying to attack European banks in their own backyard in America. So therefore, it's all part of great power politics. The difficulty is the European Union don't have the collateral to actually make these positions stick.
OK, really interesting to get your insights on this. Thanks so much. This is global financial markets expert Patrick Young. Thank you.